Hi. All right. Welcome. I am streaming this live to YouTube. I don't usually go live here, but I thought I just give it a go. I wanted to respond to one of my members' questions in my membership. Okay, I'm going to turn that volume down so that I'm not hearing myself or getting that reverb back or whatever. Um, Yeah, so I got a really great question, and I've been wanting to come and talk about this for a bit. So here we are, and it's talking a little bit about what we might call remote viewing, energy scanning. It's basically tapping into a place, a person, a situation, and viewing it through our clairsenses. And it's so interesting because I just came across someone else, I think it was on Instagram, who was describing her process of remote viewing. She has learned a very specific process of remote viewing. And she was showing, I guess, in this exercise, she was given like a target, which was a picture, and I'll just tell you what it was. It was of like the Apollo moon landing, right? It was like of the moon landing, and she had her drawings that she had made along the way, and it was so cool. It was literally showing the moon landing. It was the rocket, and it was seeing Earth from space, and it was seeing parts of the rocket ship, and it was really exciting for me. It really sparked something. And for me, I always know those are really like intuitive hits when we really get excited about something, or we're like, yes, there's some reason that we are connecting with that in some way. And so it's so interesting that my this lady in my membership, my Activate membership, that she was, I was asking, well, what else do we want to talk about? What else do we want to know about in the membership? And she was talking about something that I do, which is an intuitive practice. It's called an energy scan. And she called it like a chakra remote viewing. It's like remote viewing someone's chakras. And I was like, it's so interesting because I had never really ever called it remote viewing. And then here we are talking about I'm seeing something on remote viewing, and then she's calling it that. So I'm like, I know there's something in this. I know there's something, there's always more to dive into and explore. And so I know there's something more to explore for me around remote viewing. So I want to talk a little bit about like, well, what is this chakra energy scan? Like, what is remote viewing? Like, when are we doing it? What are we all doing it? And a couple other experiences for me along the way, just, because I can share my experience. So for me, I think moving especially into the field of coaching, I knew very early on that I really wanted to get quicker to the heart of what was going on for someone or what was blocking someone. And I could already feel like energetically or intuitively that that's what we were meant to do, and that we were already starting to get there. I guess it was a little bit of wanting confirmation or just wanting a little bit more training to understand how to best do it. So of course, synchronistically, what falls into my lap or what's shown to me, it's an energy scan training. So what is an energy scan training? It's basically a training where, with the permission of the client or the sitter, I am what one might call like remote viewing or seeing or experiencing with my clairsenses the story, what's going on within the energy centers, the chakras of the sitter, of my client. So what I typically do is I'll kind of like get into the zone, which doesn't take too long at this point. I might ask that person some questions, what they really want to know or what's on their mind, or what's kind of going on for them that they would like clarity around. And then for most people, I'll just go through the whole system. I'll go through the whole chakra system. For some people, they have something very specific. We'll kind of get right to the point with that. But what's very interesting is a lot of times I will see, like, it's sort of like, if we think of what the soul is, it's like the whole story of your being, your soul, like all the information, all the past, all the present, all the possibilities of the future, because we do also have free will, and we're able to really kind of look at the whole tapestry, the whole landscape, which is really kind of exciting and kind of fun. And along the way, we can also see energetically through the energy centers where something may have gotten lodged. We may have a blockage in some way because of a past experience in our lifetime, in a past lifetime, in our family history, or simply kind of energetically in our system. So that's kind of the first step to me, is being able to read the system. The way I describe it is, it's like I'm getting into the channel. I'm getting into the place of feeling the connection. It's like making a phone call. I'm like, oh, great, we're connected. Or tapping into that radio station. I'm just tapping into those different densities, different frequencies, different areas for that person's energy system, for that person's soul system. And that really includes thoughts. It includes even illnesses we may hold in the body. Like I might sense someone is holding some kind of illness in their liver, and that might relate to something that's actually going on for them, or like a thyroid thing or diabetes. So we might get something like that. We might also get some information around like what might be helping them in some way, like a homeopathic or some path for them to take that will help them in some way as well. So like I was mentioning, we might get some stuff from the past, we might get some stuff for the future. I don't really see it as like fortune telling or future telling, because we always do have free will. And yet for some people, I will get like really specific information about what's like showing up for them, like what's arriving for them. It might be like a connection with someone. It might be even showing me like the location. Sometimes a past loved one will come through, especially if we're asking for that person. And they will show me specifically like in the way they look, just so that sitter can identify like, yes, this is that person. They have the curly hair. They were in their 20s. Maybe they were non-binary. They went by like they, them. So I'll get like both masculine, feminine, right? So I'm just kind of mentioning some examples of how this looks. So I would call this remote viewing because here I am sitting here. I might have a client who I can see because I'm on Zoom with them, or maybe it's in a session that's online. So I'm just getting their avatar. And I'm also remotely, like I'm sitting over here, my body's over here, like remotely viewing them because I'm seeing their energy. And how do we interpret that? We interpret that through our senses. So I can interpret that through what I see, what I receive hearing, what I might feel, what I might sense. So I'm using all my senses to kind of interpret that. So yeah, that's one of the things that I do, with my clients, that I guess I would call remote viewing. I think when I was kind of checking out this other person on Instagram and what that person was doing, you're kind of taking it into this next level of, maybe not even next level or different level of remote viewing a situation that could be happening concurrently. Could it be happening like right now, or it could be happening like into the future, that we are seeing it's happening in real time, like in like in our earth. It's like literally, what I'm looking at is sort of energetics and potentially like situations that are happening in the future, but it's like literally seeing people doing things like people talk about like spying, or they kind of get into like government things, like, are people being used for remote viewing so we can like spy on other countries? So but I am kind of interested in that, and I think it kind of sparks my interest because I have a little story about something that happened well before I even became a coach. I remember I was driving with my friend. I was helping her to leave Orange County and travel up north to her new life in Portland. And along the way, we stopped off and saw my friend in Ojai. And this friend and I, we smoked a little pot. And then I just remember he had his hands on my shoulders, and I could hear him speaking to me without us like vocalizing, without us making any sounds. So we were having that telepathic communication. Is that remote viewing? Sort of, like I was like seeing his thoughts or what he was saying to me, just as much as he was doing that with me. Like we just connected in. It was just so cool. And I started to go back and toggle back and forth between like, is this really happening? Like this is happening, we're having the conversation, and me questioning, is it happening? And so he said out loud, like, Stephanie, I can hear you. And that was my confirmation, like, yeah, this is actually happening. So it was just a really cool experience. another experience that I bring into the vision casting workshops that I do and the vision casting masterminds that I hold, which is a longer mastermind. It's a 3-month mastermind with clients to help them really like bring their big dreams to fruition. Is this way of sort of remote viewing your soul's expression of like the truth of who you be or what you're meant for. And I remember, long story short, a dear friend of mine, when I was leaving the Peace Corps, who has now passed. She was older when I met her, and so she passed in her 90s, and she is now a guide for me in spirit. She did something that's similar to what I do now, which helped us to see where we were headed, like vision it. And I saw myself in a lotus position, like yoga position, and I wasn't practicing yoga at the time, but I was in between the mountains and the sea. And she had us draw this. And so I drew myself sitting in lotus position between the mountains and the sea. And it took some years. But what's so interesting is me living my ideal life, like the life that I live now. It's literally that expression. I live between the mountains and the sea. Like literally, I'm 15 minutes from the sea and 5 minutes from mountains. And the work that I do is sort of in that alignment. Like that yoga position to me was like being in alignment. I teach yoga, I teach meditation. And for me, it's part of this greater picture of us being in our fullest soul's expression, us being in alignment. And so it was just so cool to be able to have that vision so early on and to have the experiences that I've had along the way to help me get there. And what it reminds me is that these visions that we have for ourselves, like they're real. I think the ego wants to distrust sometimes. The mind wants to tell us like the reality of the situations or how it might be hard or question it or is it for us? And what we know to be true that we are seeing, feeling, expressing, like that is meant for us. And so I guess I'm here to say, if you are receiving something like that, I want you to know it's meant for you and you can trust that. I do hold these vision casting masterminds. It's a very small group that I host over 3 months. And so if you are interested in that, I am happy to have you get in touch with me. I'll drop in my bit.ly link. So you can just book a free 15-minute session with me to talk about that further if it's for you. And I am offering a few more of my Illuminate sessions, these energy scan sessions for only $97. When my schedule gets full with them, I'm going to pull that deal. But in the new year, I'm happy to offer a few more of those for you. And I always want to be available to everyone. So, if you are needing a scholarship or a sliding scale, I recommend still getting in touch because I really want to be here for you too. All right, that's all I have for now. I thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you again soon. Till next time.